Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My good students, this is continuation to lecture 2 of my last lecture for MPHIL Linguistics students. That was about syllabus. I discussed with you the first paper. Let me share the screen again so that you'll be able to see. Okay, this screen in the last lecture I shared, if you could see, MPHIL English Linguistics first semester, course research methods in linguistics core, level MPHIL, course code ELING 701, research questions in linguistics. I discussed these 10 questions because I'm going today to start first 3 questions. So in one lecture, so that you may be able to have them. What are these 3 questions for them? These 10 questions. Why do we need research question? Number 2, where do research questions come from? Number 3, research questions, topics, and puzzles. Okay, these 3 questions we are going to discuss today. Okay, so this is the research questions in linguistics. That is the first one, the methods in linguistics. Okay, so first is first chapter research questions in linguistics. It has first chapter has 10 questions. So we are going to discuss 3 questions today. These 3 questions. So let me do it now for you. For example, the first question is that why do we need research questions? That's very important. Many people they ask, why do we need research questions? Okay. That's the first. I mean, this question, the first unit we can say. Research questions actually, as I understand, the key to any empirical research project. Okay, so without research questions, you will flounder with them. You will be guided in terms of data needed, data collection methods, and data analysis. Ask yourself, what data do I need? Okay, the answer is that which best enables you to collect the data, okay, that in regard to answer of your research questions. I'm talking about this. How do I analyze in a way which allows you to address your research questions? That's very important. And so on. This is because a piece of empirical research is normally designed to address one or more research questions, the answers to which should constitute a combination to knowledge. Very important. Our English linguistics is a field of applied linguistics, is a field of linguistics. But if in social sciences, empirical research very often implies explicit research questions. If you are about to conduct empirical research in applied linguistics, English linguistics, first ask yourself what you are trying to find out in your research project. Okay, because you're going to write a thesis of 20,000 words in your MPhil thesis. So that's MPhil research project. I'm actually talking about that. If you can answer this, you have the basis for a research question. Okay. Many of you as a student go into research project with your ideas in general, and your research question in particular rather broadly formulated. You try to understand. Alternatively, your research question may be precisely formulated, but you may discover erroneous, not amenable, I think, to investigation or otherwise inappropriate. At the start of project, neither maybe too much of a problem, because the research question should not straitjacket you. Rather, you can see it as an initial direction, like a compass, a point whose needle is swinging. Further down the line, you may find the issue come up with are interesting or relevant, but which do not address your research questions. That is, which answer question you have not asked. If these do not require new data, you may wish to consider adding a new research question at some point. However, your research question needs to establish although there is room for getting their wording accurate right up until the end of your research project, MPhil research project. But it's not happen all the time. Sometimes it happens that you don't want some research questions. Your research tells you these are new research questions for you. For example, in my PhD thesis, I had 5 questions, but later I came to know there are 2 more questions automatically emerged out of those 5 questions. So I included them. So this is sometimes it happens. So you may use the term, hypothesis rather than research questions. Hypotheses are more characteristic of the natural than the social sciences or applied linguistics, English linguistics, okay, general linguistics, computational linguistics, okay, neurolinguistics. While hypothesis and research question are related, hypotheses tend to be more precise. A hypothesis is conventionally worded as statement which is to be investigated and proved or disprove through empirical study. An example would be in terms of school library use. Whereas in 6th year, when I was in the UK, 6th year primary schools, I saw they borrow more works of non-fiction than fiction, and more works of non-fiction than do girls. So hypotheses are also perhaps more characteristics of quantitative than qualitative research, okay? So this is, you must understand, you must know the basics of these things. Research questions accordingly are characteristics of qualitative research and are likely to be broader and more exploratory than hypothesis. For example, what terms of fiction and non-fiction? This is very important. A set of research questions should be formulated in ways which allow the identification and investigation of further issues that only doing the research can bring to light. For example, that could not have been included in hypothesis. In your own research questions, there is a checklist, okay? As in the previous lecture, I told you I read Massey during my studies, MPhil studies in 2000. I read Massey in 2002. So she told about the checklist. That checklist includes the what you have to follow. I mean, are they open enough to allow for the degree of exploratory inquiry you require? Will they allow you to generate further questions at a later stage? I'll give you example from my PhD study. Further, I realized there are 2 more questions out of my PhD study which I did not know. And I was formulating questions during my chapter 1 for problem statement. Okay, in the light of my developing data analysis, should I wish? I think for this reason, you should read the book written by Andrews in 2003. Of course, a set of research questions should not be too general, he says, vague or multidimensional. And here I'm going to try to convince you how these pitfalls can be avoided through the use of different types, sequence, combinations, and hierarchies. So this is very important for you to read these books, which I give you as a reference books, okay? Now we come to this question, which we are discussing, the first question. It's the second part out of this question is the second question, as I discussed you through slide. 10 questions, and the second question, where do research questions come from? That is very important. When you are going to have hypothesis, you have a research problem, you have to fill the gap, you must be in search from where you get research question. One broad answer to this question is the literature. In the process of reading and writing a literature review around your topic. That's very, I use litmus test and grounded 500 studies all around the world. And then I did not find that. I came to Asia, did not find nobody on my topic. Then I came to Arab area, nobody did it. Then I came to Saudi Arabia, nobody did it. Then I came to the region where I completed my PhD in Al-Azhar. In that university, nobody did it. So that's why after confirmation, I gave it to my PhD supervisor and she approved it. So you may come across a suggestion for an unanswered research question, however, do check that has not, in fact, been addressed. And indeed, as a question, it is both worthy of investigation. Is it still interesting and original? That the question does arise. And operationalizable. You may decide to replicate someone else's work, perhaps to challenge it, perhaps within a different or particular interesting context, or perhaps to use a different form of analysis on the same or related topic. You may identify a niche in the research literature. That's very important. The word niche is very important in the research literature. That is something related to your topic has been asked, but something else has not. So that's the question. You cannot find all the questions from any one thing. So the advantages of arriving at research question through a literature review are, as I told you, I read Andrews. He told in his book that the questions will be well grounded in existing research. Assuming the literature review is a good one, there will be coherence between the literature review and the rest of the thesis. Again, assuming the rest of the thesis is driven by the question, you must understand. So literature review, it actually tells you how much knowledge you have in your field. That's why go more and more literature review, read more and more theses, read more and more books, read more and more research papers. So you should be very perfect in your field. Literature review tells your knowledge, how much strong you are in your field. A strong, broad answer is a pre-existing topic which then drives the literature review. You may have identified a recent unpredictable topic, any event in your linguistics related to applied linguistics or English linguistics which can throw light on your understanding of a particular applied linguistic concept. For example, I can give you only one example. Katrina in the United States or the summer 2007 flood in the United Kingdom might provide sites for studying the social linguistics, okay, of community of practices, American presidential elections in 2008, a site of modern political rhetoric. We can do it. That can be, I give you one example. You may have identified an interesting linguistics phenomenon or development, use the phrase words with to inquire about something unusual. Blogs would be another relative recent example, because blogs people give a lot of information. I read blogs that illustrate the affordances of particular medium and new form of communication. For example, when I check any journal in Scopus, first I go to the blog and I see what the people are writing. Somebody will give me hint, oh, there's a question on this journal. It's a predatory journal. There's a question on this journal. It's discontinued for Scopus. So blogs are very important. So for research questions, try to find the blogs, okay? A third possible source of a research question, more controversially, is that comes out of your own finding. Your data may suggest answers to research questions that you did not ask. Hopefully, you will be able to ask them, particularly about data. Data is very important. As long as this does not destabilize, divert, or unacceptably increase the workload of your entire research project, or if it can be addressed without dilution, compromised, then there is no reason why a new research question cannot be introduced. So new research question, give your thesis more, because your supervisor will ask you more question. In MPHIL, 3 questions are enough, I think. 3 to 4 questions are enough. As Genesis incorporated into the story of the research project in question, we can also consider the possibility of some data being hypothesis generated, and some hypothesis testing. Okay, distinction introduced by when I was reading, there was an old book which was written by Albright in 1983. in which hypotheses were replaced by research questions. Okay, and also then I wrote a second book by Salmani Madoshan. Uh, Again, the studies he mentioned that the hypothesis generating, let us imagine a group of students writing, give an example about their experience, the new language in applied linguistics, in that the preoccupations documented in the diaries may suggest generate research question. What is likely to cause anxiety in novice learners of foreign language? That can be the first research question. For example, basically research question emerge from your mind when you go more and more literature review. Oh, you find thousand research questions. Okay, see Schumann and Schumann. That book was written by him, by these two writers, 1977. The research questions he says in his book, when you find some research questions, then these research questions can be tested or at least empirically addressed. Okay, for example, does reading or listening to words in the new language constitute a greater source of anxiety for novice learners of a foreign language? That can be your, for example, second research question. And then you can go and see anybody has done it before or not, because your research question you are doing on this topic for the first time. That in the beginning I told you, I use litmus test. You can use litmus test and go ground. I grounded 5,500 studies. You can do it. Okay, now third question. Uh, Research questions, topics, and puzzles. This is very important. This is the third question of this chapter. When asked what the research question is, uh, many students they cannot reply because they don't have any idea. Okay, for example, whether it's a PhD research proposal form or whether it's the MPhil research proposal form, it's surprising how many novice researchers actually provide a topic in the area of language education, applied linguistics, general linguistics, English linguistics, okay, computational linguistics, okay, ethnographic linguistics, or if it is neurolinguistics, okay, so there are type of many new type of linguistics, okay. I think as an MPhil student, your topic might be, say, teacher beliefs, in particular the beliefs of, for example, Pakistani primary school teachers about foreign language teaching and acquisition. English is the second, the medium instruction there. So that's the language testing. That can be a question. Particular testing foreign language use in generally communicative situations. Okay. A research question, however, is a question and should be worded as an interrogative. It is not a topic, although it's grow up out of a topic. It grows up out of a topic. So then I gave you example for language testing. First question on Pakistani school students, language education. Okay, for video instruction is English. Very good question for you. Alternatively, some people might consider an intellectual puzzle as the basis of their research. Not in Pakistan because people are not well versed with this type of technology. But for example, why is it that foreign language teachers tend to see girls as almost automatically better language learners than boys? So, all right, I told you, and Mason, they have already mentioned in their books more on intellectual puzzles. Okay, here you may be drawing on your own experience and from hunches. For example, as a teacher, you might feel that exercises for a certain textbook, you go on internet, search the textbook, and you get one textbook for puzzles almost always do down better with the students than exercises from a different textbooks. So, and you are curious to find out why addressing such puzzles has been conceptualized by one of the writer, Dick Dick Allwright. I told you Dick Allwright. I've already studied. I give you for example when he has a special chapter exploratory practice, and you must read that where he has mentioned many approaches to exploratory on puzzles. Okay, the answer to this particular research question would have implications for classroom text and pedagogy beyond the particular teaching situation. You try to understand. Then you will come to know. So both topics and puzzles need translating into appropriate research questions. That is, though careful formal expression, including in terms of accurate, appropriate, uh, and productive interrogative wording. But to look at wording, we also need to look at types of research questions. Okay, so this is enough for today. I have discussed out of the first chapter, 3 questions I discussed. Okay, I will start my next lecture, type of research questions. The fourth question I will start for this chapter. Thank you very much. Do not forget to subscribe this channel. Okay, and see you next time, my MPHIL English students, applied linguistics students. Thank you very much. Bye bye. Do not forget to subscribe my channel.